Smith has it. Knicks down 3. Should the Bulls foul? No. Anthony for 3. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied.
All right, recording this 6:40, the 15th of August. Me and my boy Nolan are back on the pod as always. Today we got a special episode. Today we're going to mainly be talking about Summer League. Been a fantastic week, a little over a week of the young guys coming in and playing. This Summer League is a little bit more important. We didn't have Summer League last year, so first and second year players are getting an opportunity to shine. I wanted to start the conversation off with, we're a Knicks-based podcast. With the Knicks Summer League, Quickly and Obi, our second year players who got a lot of rotation minutes this past season look real good. McBride looks good. Quentin Grimes looked good on the defensive end, shot the ball pretty well last game. What are your thoughts on and Jericho Sims? Let's not forget the 58 pick of the recent draft. Jericho Sims just looking like a physical freak out there. Can't wait to see how he looks on the NBA court. Nolan, how you feel about the Knicks Summer League team? And we could start off, I guess, with Quickly. How you feel about Quickly?
Quickly looks. I mean, he struggled to shoot the 3 ball in all but that one game where he absolutely went off.
Yeah.
But as far as Quickly and things I'm ever going to be concerned about, his shot isn't going to be one of them. I think right now they have Quickly running the offense, being a point guard, and just trying things out, developing him slowly, letting him run an offense, see what he can and can't do, so that, a few years down the road, or even this year, you don't know exactly what's going to happen with Kemba's knees or D-Rose knees, their health, whatever. IQ could be called upon to step up, and more practice you get, the more information you have as a coaching staff on what this player can do and what his ceiling is. The huge Twitter debate of, is he just a 6 man? Is he more than that? Whatever. We can avoid that. That's for a different time. But I mean, I think it's really encouraging to see him develop as a playmaker, and a lot of his passes, not just his oops to Obi and Sims and things like that, just the way his assist to turnover ratio has been incredible throughout. Obviously he didn't play the last game, which is probably good. I think he's probably done for the Summer League anyway. I think we've seen enough from Quickly that we know what Quickly is, and there's no real reason to have him out there. But yeah, I mean, that's all I have on Quickly. What are your thoughts on how he's progressed so far this Summer League and what you've seen from him?
Honestly, Quickly looked like how he would look. What I thought I would see from him. A guy coming in his second year just looks way better than everybody else. Former SCE player of the year. So pretty high skilled. You really saw, like you said, he didn't really shoot the ball well his first game, but got in tune after that. I'm part of that camp that don't think Quickly is a point guard. I really don't. I think
Can I ask you about that?
Yeah, because I feel like Quickly's playmaking skills definitely needs to develop way more. I understand the Knicks fan base got real hype, when he was playing well, but it's Summer League. Calm down. Of course he's gonna have a vision in Summer League. It's not the same. He's not seeing, defensive strategies on him. It's different. It's way different. I still think Quickly is a 2 moving forward, even if he's a 6 man or a future starter. I think his position is the 2, and I will stay on that. But yeah, Quickly looked amazing. Obi looked amazing all the games. Really impressed with Obi. Looked real aggressive, which was a concern for him in the beginning of the season, especially. Looked really timid out there, but Summer League he looked great. He shot the ball well, played good defense, positionally was there, played really well alongside Jericho Sims. What was your thoughts on Obi?
Well, before I get to Obi, just to touch one more time on your Quickly part real quick.
Yeah.
Just I get what you're saying, and the fact that it's summer league, and there's gonna be lanes and there's visions there. And you said a lot of things that make a lot of sense. Like, that he needs to develop more, and that Nick's Twitter is like getting real caught up into this, whether he is 6-man or if he's a shooting guard or whatever. I think really though, that's kind of not the question. I mean, I think the question should be with Quickly is what can we find out about him? Like, I don't understand the rush people have right now to say necessarily he's not this, he's not that. Like, he's like you said, he still has so much time to develop that I'm just not ready to put a guy who has so much gravity from 30 feet beyond the arc, or not 30 feet beyond the arc, from 30 feet deep, being able to figure things out. Like, the NBA has transitioned so much in recent years to players like Steph and Trey, and players that can just Dame, can really space the floor, that I'm really excited to see that. I'm not saying he for sure is a point guard. I just think nobody should be boxing him into any one of those pegs quite this early. But going back to Obi, I think, has looked like the lottery pick we expected him to look like last year. And to his credit, we didn't get to see him in Summer League last year. We didn't get to see Quickly in Summer League last year. So this is the first time they really have a chance to do that. We talked about a little bit in our messaging. You said, it looks like Dayton Obi's back, but
yeah, he looked like Dayton Obi out there, man.
yeah, but guys, too, like, you got to remember, these aren't exactly like NBA full-time players either. These are also kind of college kids too. Like, we've seen Kevin Knox look great in Summer League. So I'm not saying, I'm not knocking Obi, but kind of like you're saying with Quickly, you got to take these things in the Summer League with a grain of salt, because yes, like, they're looking exactly like what you want them to look like right now, and that's incredible to see. It's great to see players develop and continue to develop. But we're gonna have to wait and see how the rotations work out, because I still just don't see a path forward to a lot of minutes for Obi. Maybe at most 20 minutes a game, and I don't see Tibbs sitting Randall that long, so it'd have to be 4-5 matchup. I don't
think they do that this season.
I don't think they do either. If you sign Noel and you have Mitch and you have Sims, it seems like you're pretty set on going with the traditional big, and I don't really trust Randall or Obi to protect the rim, and I don't think like the offense necessarily, like, I think you lose more on defense there than
you gain on
offense.
Yeah,
and it doesn't really make sense to me to do that. I'd be interested to see them, give it some looks in the preseason, see how it works, see if Randall is big. He's a bulky guy. Maybe he can do a better job defending fives than I think. I don't think it's there. He doesn't really have the jumping ability or verticality to contest shots, but I'd like him to take a look at it.
No, I think you have good points. In the Summer League, Obi, he got a lot of post-ups, a lot of, big boy buckets in the paint that you didn't see from last year.
In the paint, though.
Yeah. Definitely
getting better.
Definitely. You see the improvement, but he wasn't getting that at all in the regular season. Multiple times we see him try to post up guys, and it just didn't work out. I guess as the college guys, they do play a fact in Obi's success in the Summer League for sure. As far as going forward with Obi, I agree. The more and more the season comes closer, I really don't see a path for Obi to get real minutes. I remember listening to Spaces 2 days ago, and shout out to Chris from the film school, the Knicks film school. Shout out to those boys. He was saying that pretty much, I agree with him. He said that Obi's pretty much developing to get into the next package for the star. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, that's how it is. He's from New York.
The only thing I'll parse there slightly is, say Obi continues to develop and somehow looks more promising than Randall, but I can't imagine them trading Randall at this rate.
Yeah, no, they just
And
signed him.
yeah, exactly. And I just the Randall contract's going to be a lot harder to move than Obi's, which makes him an even more attractive asset in acquiring a star like a Dame or someone like that. And that's why these summer league minutes are so important for him, and it's so good to
Yeah.
see him, ball out and just boost up that trade value. And I think I think that's absolutely what's inevitably going to happen, just because Obi is a good player. He was drafted where he was drafted for a reason. He could have even been drafted higher, and he just needs to get to a place where he has the minutes to develop and prove himself on the NBA level.
Couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. The next Nick I wanted to speak about was Deuce, man. Deuce McBride, man, showing out the last two summer league games. I really like Deuce's game. The only critique that I had told you last night that really popped out to me during his whole summer league play was I don't know if he could get by NBA defenders on a consistent rate. I don't think so, but
So by get by, do you mean get by getting to the basket, or just get by in terms of like creating separation first, like creating shot separation?
honestly a little bit of both. I think he struggles in both of those aspects.
Okay.
He needs a pick. He needs a pick to create some type of team offense. But his skills defensively is amazing. I love that. I love his defensive skills. Um,
Mm-hmm.
being able to move his feet, fight over the picks, like he has heart. I love that from him. His mid-range game is elite. He's if he's open off that pick and roll, he's going to shoot the ball and most likely it's going to go in. I would love to see him. I know he shot the ball from three a little well than I expected in summer league, but I don't know if that translates to the league. I don't know if that translates to the league, but hopefully he develops into a league average 3-point shooter in his career. And if he's able to become at least a league average 3-point shooter, I see him having a promising career in the league for sure.
Oh, I definitely think he'll be league
At
average.
32, I definitely do like a few guys I mentioned before in the pod, Preston, maybe Cooper at 32, but I cannot lie. McBride at 32 is an amazing pick. I can't cheer more for that. But as far as minutes coming into the season with Rose, with Kemba, with Quickly, I don't know how much minutes he gets. He probably just replaces Frank's spot on the bench and becomes like a situational guy for his first year. That's how I envision Tibbs using him. But yeah, I mean, shit, McBride. Shout out to McBride, man.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
I think you're pretty much right with the playing time. I think that's definitely going to be the plan coming into the season. I will say, however, that out of the rookies that the Knicks have, I think that McBride has the best shot of playing significant minutes, just because the situation with D Rose and with Kemba's health, that if one of them goes down, we know he could very quickly be called up. If one of them goes out for the season, there's a really good chance he gets called up. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know if we've officially waived Vildoza or what's going on
Yeah,
with
I don't
that
know what's wrong with that
situation.
situation because he's played terrible this summer
Yeah,
league. I
yeah.
know he's
So
had an ankle injury from the Olympics, but uh yeah, I don't know what Vildosa's future is. I thought, since he's a little bit older, I thought we'll see a little bit more from him. But yeah, Vildosa's been kind of a letdown.
yeah. Like you said, it's hard. It's a small sample size. He's coming off the Olympics. He has that injury and everything. But I just mean, I don't know. I just think out of him, Grimes, and Sims, he has the easiest path forward to seeing minutes this year. I think he's a great player. I hate West Virginia with the passion. They're my second least favorite school behind Penn State. I don't understand how Bobby Huggins gets ballers to go out play in Morgantown, West Virginia. It makes no sense to me. Just a bunch of cousin fucking hillbillies. But they play great defense. And I really like McBride's game. I think I really do see a lot of Marcus Smart in his game.
I
I
see a lot of Bledsoe.
I see some Bledsoe, but I think he's a better shot than Bledsoe.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with you. He has problem getting past guys to the rim. I think his shot creation you're going to be a little pleasantly surprised about. I think he's a little underrated in that area from the film I've watched. Um, but the defensive intensity is something that Tibbs is going to love, and I think that plays into why he might see minutes early as well. So I mean, we'll see, but I mean, it's nice, like we said in the last pod, to be in a situation where you're watching summer league and you're not watching in like your hopes for this season depend on how player X looks. Like, going into RJ's, we're like, okay, how's RJ gonna look? He's gonna be, if he looks good, the whole season's gonna be good. We were watching Knox, like, oh, if Knox breaks out, becomes a star, we can have a pretty decent season. And it's like, it's nice being like, okay, whatever these rookies do, it's great to see them look good, but we don't really need them to do too much this year. It's nice to just be able to kind of sit back, get relaxed, and enjoy the players developing for once.
Oh, for sure, man. Shout out to Leon Rose, man. 2 years in a row, a great group of guys bringing onto the squad. The next Nick I wanted to talk about was Quentin Grimes, man. Quentin Grimes, 6'6" out of Houston. Played well, played pretty good defense, played well team defense. Didn't shoot the ball particularly well the first few games. Came around the last game he came around with his shot. You kind of see what he's gonna bring onto the court with his intensity on defense. He's a good team defender. Shout out, McBride and Grimes, man. They understand the concept, thanks to their programs at college. But the shooting doesn't concern me. I think it would come around eventually. I'm still like kind of surprised they picked him, man, because we were talking about him the whole podcast, like a few times during the podcast, and there was no rumors that they were interested in him, and
Well, there were a few. There were a few that he was rising up on the next board.
I didn't believe those, man. I didn't believe those, man. Nothing is really. I don't know what to believe coming out of the camp anymore,
That's
man.
the one thing now. It's made Twitter around the draft and free agency just like unbearable. It's just like anybody with a blue check mark tweets anything and people like take it as fact, and it's like so hard to even like sort through like what's legit, what's an agent pumping out, like who's leaking what. It's like it's really hard to even just. I kind of try to ignore it as much as I can, and just kind of like if something like legitimate comes out, okay, but if it's just hearsay things, I don't take too. This front office doesn't seem like they have too many leaks.
Yeah, and which was surprising because we felt like we were 2 steps ahead of the Knicks all the time in past regimes. I felt like I knew what they was gonna do all the time. But we can't really figure out the plan. We didn't even really know what they was gonna do in free agency. We didn't know they was gonna bring back everybody except for like Reggie Bullock. Like we didn't like we had an idea, but we didn't 100% know. And
how many fans, if you would have asked a poll after the last game of the Atlanta series, would have thought Nerlens Noel would be back?
nobody. Everybody thought he was gonna get like a ridiculous bag.
He was gonna go off and get paid somewhere, and you know what? We ended up stepping up and paying him ourselves, and I'm not mad about it. Some people are mad about that contract. I really don't think that contract ended up being reported like it's gonna be less than it was initially reported, and like this like I don't think a guaranteed first 2 years. So I mean, I'm happy about that. But going with Grimes, he said he finally. I'm not worried about a shot either. His release looks great. That's another thing about Obi is his release is so much more quick and fluid this summer league.
Yeah.
That I really think that's going to start to fall. Maybe not this year, but next year.
For sure. For sure the following year, for sure.
Yeah. I really like Grimes. Like I said though, I know the fit. No, actually, no, I'm not even gonna say that. I think they can both play the same position. Is that I still kind of wish we picked Bones there. I saw
now Bones is dope. Bones is dope.
Yeah, yesterday I was just gonna say yesterday for Denver he had 28 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists on 53% field goal shooting and 63% from three. So, like, they both have the same. I'm pretty sure they both have the same wingspan. Bones might actually have a slightly bigger wingspan. I think Grimes is a little more built than him, but he's not like exactly built himself. But I think they're both going to be really good players. I'm happy with Grimes, but I still would have rather had Bones. But like we said last pod, you kind of splitting hairs players on that level.
For sure, for sure. You know, Grimes. I think that he'll be able. I understand your thing about McBride getting minutes, probably the easier route, but but that's dependent on injury. I think Grimes has a better route to
We have a
minute.
lot of wings though. We have a
Oh,
lot of wings.
you're right. Actually, you're right because I didn't take into account to Alex Burks. Alex Burks is back, and fourth
Yeah.
quarter Burks
Plus Fournier.
plus Fournier. Yeah. You're right. You're right. But I no,
I
no,
mean, he can get minutes.
he could get minutes backing up RJ and all that stuff. I do think Tibbs can run up a
there'll be
lot.
situations where he wants more shooting in the lineup or someone's off. But, you've seen Tibbs even like bench RJ for full quarters when he doesn't have it going. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if Tibbs threw him out there a few games just for extended minutes just to get a look at him at least.
I think a bench lineup of Quickly, Burks, Grimes, Obi, and Mitch will be amazing. Amazing spark. You got two shooters in the backcourt, and you don't give up nothing on defense. You have your rim protector in Noel, and and you got Obi and Burks doing their thing. I think.
I'm trying to think. Are we missing someone from that lineup?
I mean, that's five guys, and then our starters.
No, yeah, I'm saying.
I mean, D Rose. Yeah, D Rose. D Rose too. Yeah, for sure, D Rose too. But I definitely think Quentin Grimes is definitely interchangeable, like you said, in those lineups. Just in case Tibbs went shooting. We've seen in the past if he feels like he needs to bench RJ. Yeah, definitely. I definitely do see Tibbs going that route.
Just like with Quickly, if he comes in and lights it up, he'll see minutes.
Exactly. And we've seen plenty of times where Quickly, he comes in, light it up, and he plays the rest of the game, and we win the game because of Quickly. There's multiple times I could recall the Portland game when he came in.
That Clippers game, the
Clippers
first time
game.
he really went off. We lost that game,
but still, he ended up playing the rest of the game, and the offense pretty much ran through him the rest of the time, feeding him. But
that's my biggest reason why I still believe he can be a point guard, just because of that gravity.
No, for sure. No, he definitely has that that like you said, that Dame, that Steph effect where he's such a great shooter. The gravity is just I 100% see your point, but I don't know if that's his natural spot.
Oh, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. The last Nick I wanted to talk about was Jericho Sims, the 58 pick. This guy is huge, bro. Like I need to get on his meal plan, man. I wonder how many calories he's taking in, like his workout regimen. Like I'm really interested to see what he was doing those 4 years in Texas, because this kid physically he could have played in the NBA last year. Like I don't understand why he came out so late. But definitely showed some NBA skills. Definitely.
You know what the reason was? Is last year he was behind Kai Jones.
Yeah, no, Kai Jones or was it Kai Jones?
I think it was Kai Jones.
Because Kai Jones came. This is his freshman year. Kai Jones was it?
I'm saying I don't know why he stayed this year.
Yeah.
When he was going to be behind Kai Jones.
Oh, yeah. I don't get it either.
I mean, I think I messaged you this that I watched one Texas game all year, and that Kai Jones was in foul trouble, and Sims came in, and the team just looked better with him out there. And I know college and NBA is a lot different, and he has a lot like of muscle to add on. But like what you were saying about like wonder what his diet is and like how hard like he works and stuff. Doesn't he kind of feel like, I know there's all this smoke going around about Mitchell Robinson and everything. Doesn't he kind of feel like the exact antithesis of the type of player Mitchell Robinson is in the terms of like, I think of what the front office is concerned about Mitch is like the maturity and his work ethic, where I feel like Sims is a guy that like lives and breathes basketball, which feels like much more of like a Tibbs guy, which feels like much more of like a fit for the guys that this front office has seemed to be bringing in. And I don't know, there's a lot of smoke going around about this Mitch stuff that I didn't really believe at first would ever come to fruition. But it sounds like we said before, his uncle is really involved in this and maybe not to his best interest. So if the Knicks have a feel that they're not going to be able to re-sign Mitch on a reasonable contract, then getting in a player like Sims a year early, getting a look at him, I mean, you got to be prepared for things like that. If you can't, maybe he outplays his draft position, and you can find a good package. I don't think there's been some rumors about us going after Miles Turner from the Pacers, but
Yeah.
I don't think the cap makes sense with that. Even if you traded Mitch and Knox, that'd only be like I think Mitch only makes like 1.8.
And what's crazy is Leon Rose's checkbook was out this summer. I know we understand we was making somewhat conservative moves, but his checkbook was out.
You could have at least extended a
Yeah,
qualifying offer.
exactly. Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's what makes me more skeptical.
And I wonder if there was a contract on the table and maybe it was too little. Maybe they offered him, like I've said many times on this podcast, maybe they offered him the Thomas Bryant contract and he just laughed at the contract. Maybe that's what it is, and he doesn't want to take the budget extension. But yeah, no, Mitch has been it's been weird with Mitch lately.
So wait, how much do you remember how much annually Noel got on his deal? Probably around like 11 million.
Yeah, it's 10, $11 million. It's the $30 million. It's a $30 million deal over 3 years. So
I'd be willing to bet the front office gave Mitch a 4-year deal, 12 million a year offer, and he turned it down.
but it's like, how much money are you expecting? Are you expecting Jared Allen money? Are you expected to
Well,
get
that's what
health?
I mean. Like, I do think that when healthy, he's better than Jared Allen.
No, I agree.
But Jared Allen has been available.
Exactly.
He's shown that he can do it and do it consistently, and that he's mature, that he can handle being traded to flip in Cleveland and not let it get to him. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And maybe it's nothing, but it was interesting. I follow him on IG, and before the draft started, the Knicks posted, trying to get the fan base hype about the draft, and they posted Mitchell Robinson, like a picture from his rookie year, and they said, we found a needle in the haystack at 32. Maybe we could find another one, and he he posted on his story like, you would never find another Mitchell Robinson. Like, I am
I
the
think
one
he
and only.
removed all his like Knicks stuff from his page too.
Yep, exactly. So I don't.
I
It's
think
iffy, man.
negotiations very clearly went poorly at the moment.
But hopefully that doesn't affect his play on the court this upcoming season.
Oh, it can't. If you're him, you can't let that get to you. You're trying to go out and earn that money, and if you don't put it up on the court, then maybe you walk into a Dennis Schroeder situation where you turn down a bag and end up with a $5 million contract. Maybe you get a Nerlens Noel situation where you turn down your Dallas extension and come to the Knicks on a 1-year $5 million deal. Like we've seen it happen with players like him before, so it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
No, for sure, for sure. But circling back to Jericho Sims, he definitely showed a few NBA skills that intrigued me a lot. He set solid skills with his body, rolled to the basket, boxed out extremely well. You could see that he's going to be, if he develops correctly, he will be a somewhat elite rebounder. He kind of reminds me of a athletic Steven Adams, just a strong guy boxing out, like, get out my way, I'm gonna get the rebound, but he's way more athletic than Steven Adams.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
quite as built as Steven Adams, and
definitely,
way
definitely.
more bouncy.
Yeah, but those skills that translate really well in
Yeah,
winning
he's decent
basketball
post
teams.
game, even for his like being as scrawny as he is for a big.
And just based on his size alone, he can play backup NBA minutes, maybe 15 to 10. I don't know if it happens
Oh
on our
yeah,
squad, but he
no, yeah, he's a
definitely
backup
can
center in the league.
right now. Yeah. Right now he's a backup center, no doubt about it.
Even a third team center, like I mean, somewhere minimum.
Definitely. Interesting to see how he develops on that two-way deal. Do you know who's on the is Jared Harper still on the other two-way deal, Nolan?
No, I don't believe
So
so.
do we have the other two-way spot open?
I think so.
Interesting.
I
Interesting.
don't know what the plan is for that, but I'm pretty sure he's gone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to just he's not on our summer league team. So
Yeah,
that's a eye opener. I'm pretty sure I didn't get the news, so I'm just I wanted to bring that up because yeah, because two-way deals are starting to get signed. They're starting to give them out to the summer league guys. So interesting to see Jericho Sims get picked up. Yeah, that's pretty much all for the summer league guys on the squad. Pretty decent outing, pretty decent group coming in. Again, shout out to our front office. We believe in you guys, man. Like decent moves, can't complain. Cause I was bitching about a lot of front office moves in the past, man. Can't lie. Can't lie. But
this front office.
no, past regimes.
Okay, okay. I was gonna say this front office has been pretty solid.
No, this shout out. No, this is no, I
Yeah,
love this front office, man. I'm talking about
yeah.
Phil
This
and,
is
and, and
this
Sky.
is this is the first time I've had faith in this front office in a long time. Like, I'm giving them like the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, man, for sure. Our front office made another move, which is, they cut off Frank, man. It's official. Frank will no longer be with the squad anymore. It's an end of an era. When it was,
Kevin Knox is now the longest tenured Nick,
which is insane, bro. Which
and
is
probably
insane.
won't last long.
It's crazy, bro. And the day Frank had his little farewell with the Knicks, it came official when Woj tweeted out. Knicks Twitter definitely had a civil war, mini civil war. Some guys think that, the franchise, failed him. Some guys think that, it doesn't matter what was going on upstairs. Like, he was on the court. He didn't really play that well. Some guys have that stance on it. I always wanted Frank to excel in a Knicks jersey. I did not want to draft him. I'm going to keep it real. My eyes was totally set on Dennis Smith Jr. I was in love with Dennis Smith Jr. as a prospect, but we
Not that
saw how
that panned out
yeah.
much better, but yeah.
Yeah, but no, I really thought Dennis Smith Jr. was the truth. His size, his ball handling skills, his athletic ability.
Mhm.
Like I really thought he was the one, especially at 8. Shit, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, man. What's your feelings on Frank? He hasn't got signed yet, which is not surprising because we know
No.
we know how he plays. But
If
what's your
if he
thoughts,
gets
man?
signed and if he gets signed in the NBA, it'll be towards the end of free agency where guys are just kind of filling out spots. Um, I it's bittersweet. I like Frank. There's a lot of reasons to like Frank. He's a hard worker. He plays really good defense, and he's shown some slight flashes, but they're very few and far between. And I get all these guys saying, why draft this guy if you're gonna just give up on him 4 years into his contract? He's only 21, 22 years old, and all these things. But like at a certain point, we're not just some lottery team like rebuilding, taking on like rehab projects or have that we don't have roster spots just to hope that Frank Ntilikina suddenly develops into Drew Holiday in year 7 or 6. Like, you know what I mean? He's been here 4 years. He's a hell of a Nick. Like, he embodied a lot of what our fan base appreciates
Yeah,
in a basketball player.
yeah.
But I really do think for his career and for this next roster for this season that them parting ways is best for both parties.
No, I agree. I think the Frank experiment needed to be over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's really unfortunate on many factors, but one thing that's really gonna stick in my head is we wasted the pick, man. We wasted the pick, and that's an eighth pick from 4 years ago that's just walking out our door. When most teams, when their eighth pick in 4 years are, a solid contributor to their team. It's unfortunate, and it's looked like it might, unless we do some finessing during the trade deadline and we're able to send Kevin Knox to Sacramento. I don't know. I don't know what's the future for Knox, and I think maybe the same. Maybe Knox just walks next summer, and that's 2 years of wasted lottery talent. And
The silver lining with Knox, I believe, is that that was the year we drafted Mitch too, right?
yeah, yeah,
So at least like those two kind of canceled each other out, where it's like, okay, Mitch was your lottery player from that draft, and Knox was your second round bust, even though they got paid, opposite. But like in terms of like roster like construction, at least that one didn't like set us back as much as if we wouldn't have drafted an impact player in the second round that year.
and Nolan, after this pod, I want you to go back to the press conference with Knox and Mitch when they first was getting introduced to the team. They just got drafted, and they're in their suits or whatever, and the media is asking them questions, and they're completely ignoring Mitch, and you can see Mitch's face. Like I vividly remember Mitch in his little baggy suit. You could tell, he came, he didn't have a lot of money at the time. You could tell, like, nobody's like, how these guys, they're getting sponsored by,
Nobody knew who Mitch was, man.
yeah, you
He
could
didn't
tell
play in college.
you could tell he came from the mud straight out to Barclays Center and got drafted. Like you could tell, and nobody was asking him questions. Maybe a reporter asked him maybe one or two questions, but Knox got whole FaceTime over there, like the whole thing. All the questions were asked on Knox, and I remember thinking back, like, man, they're really sleeping on this kid. Like,
I mean, though, that makes sense at the time, though. Knox was what, the 9th overall pick?
Yeah, yep.
And Mitch was like the 32nd.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, but like, and that's going to happen any year. Like, if we would have drafted, like, way more people were focused on Obi than quickly this past year. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
And they were both first rounders. So, I mean, like, yeah, I do remember that. And I do see that being something that could like irk Mitch, but like also if you're Mitch, like I don't know what you expected. Like you could have raised your profile, played in college, and probably been a first round pick. You were damn near a first round pick sitting out a year. So I mean, like any lack of like media hype or attention at that point in his career was kind of valid.
Yeah, for sure. Those are valid points, but it's just funny,
Mm-hmm.
Mitch is a solid, one of the hopefully key pieces on our future, like really like actively a key future part of our defense, big part of our anchor. But it's interesting, the ninth pick is pretty much non-existent in the present and the future. And Mitch, we hold Mitch to high regards. It's just it was just an interesting thing thinking back on it with the Knox situation. Definitely, definitely interesting. That's pretty much it with the Knicks conversation. Uh, I wanted to go into a few guys that have been, summer league studs, as I could call them. Um, First guy I want to talk about was Cade Cunningham, number one pick, my guy in the draft.
Everybody's got
Everybody's
oh
guy. I
man.
feel like, yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. But I'm definitely on that bandwagon. Definitely raising the Cade flag high. I'm yelling on the top of the truck, like, yeah, Cade's a superstar. But
Yeah, he had a slow start his first few games, turned the ball over a lot, but against the Knicks, he looked special. He
I
looked
I think
really, really special.
a lot of his skills that I project him having in the league, making him a great player, showed during the summer league. Him being able to control the pace of the game, super elite on the pick and roll, manipulates the defender, manipulates the passing lanes. Long. He is like, bro, he's long, man. He could defend 1 through 3 comfortably. Showed great defensive IQ. And one thing that really stand out, I mean, of course, I watched him at Oklahoma State. I already knew this, but he's a leader. He is a leader. Like he's definitely a, a, a a leader. It's natural to him, and definitely there was some spots. I watched all the Detroit games, and there was definitely some sticky situations that the Pistons have gotten themselves into, and Cade was able to bring them together, and they were able to come back. Maybe not win the game, but definitely have a run at the end of the games, as most of these summer league games do. But I really like Cade. Going to be interesting to see if Detroit uses him as a primary ball handler or a secondary ball handler with Killian Hayes there, but they're probably going to use him more on the ball because they're going to need his on the ball skills just because the roster is pretty young and underdeveloped. But what's your thoughts on Cade's play?
One thing I noticed, at least the only real game I watched the entire game of Cade was this next one, but I knew he could play off the ball, um, and that was going to be a big factor. I do think, like you said, he is going to have a lot of on the ball responsibilities, but I think him and Killian will share those responsibilities. And I saw something. You saw Killian hit a few threes last night too, which is going to be huge for his game because if those two can play off of each other while still being able to like share the distribution and run the offense through both of them, kick it out, make second pass, find the open man, then that's going to be a really good backcourt. And I think that was the biggest concern was will those two be able to coexist? And from what I've seen so far, it looks like that early on, you'll probably run a little bit more of it through Killian, but as the season goes on and as the years go on, I think this is definitely going to be, his team moving forward, and that he'll probably be the primary ball handler.
For sure. Watching the Pistons game, I think Killian definitely needs to develop his offensive game. Like you said. But defensively, he is there. Defensively, he's there. He's switching on the guards. He's no, he's a good defender right now. And just he'll be able to play us alongside Cade. Definitely two ball movers. So Sadiq Bey and Big Stu and all those guys. They'll be able to get open looks and way better opportunities than they were last year with the talent that they had. Yeah, I'm a believer in this Detroit young core. So far, Troy Weaver has came in, and I'm not part of Pistons Twitter, but I'm definitely an observer of Pistons Twitter.
Mm.
I definitely, with the acquisition of Cade, I definitely have to check in, follow a few accounts, and keep tabs on that community because I like the young core: Killian, Sadiq, Big Stu out of Washington. He's going to man the paint for years to come. Um, Luke Garza, Luke Garza. I remember,
Good.
yeah, he looked good. You texted me, yeah, he looked good. Lost a lot of weight. Definitely was hitting the cardio machine in the gym. Uh, Moved his feet pretty well, way better than he did in college. That's something that popped out at me. Like, yo, he's moving his feet out there. Definitely needs to get better. He should talk to Jokic and see like how Jokic is able to play defense positionally because the way Jokic plays defense positionally is very crucial to how Denver plays, and if Garza is able to take some pages out of that, definitely think like I said before when we were talking about stocks, risers and falls. I definitely think Luca, there is a roster spot for Garza if he develops correctly. I do believe that. What's your thoughts on Garza, Nolan?
Yeah, I like Luke Garza. He's had some big games so
Yep.
far this summer league. A lot of the concerns I had about him coming into the draft don't seem to be, as big of an issue. But this is still summer league. But I mean, I saw him knock down a step back three. I saw him do things in the paint that I didn't think I was going to be able to see him do as easily as he did. But I think he had a double double on Saturday. So I mean, I don't know, man. I agree with you. I think there's definitely a roster spot for him in the league, and I think that the team he's on now is like he'll have plenty of opportunity to see minutes and actually develop, and hopefully, if it's not with this roster, hopefully he'll find a spot on a NBA team somewhere in the league because I think he definitely has the talent for it.
Yeah, for sure. Couldn't agree more with the Pistons. Definitely a league pass team for me. Definitely got to see how that team develops. Next guy I wanted to talk. Well, next two guys I wanted to talk about. Jalen Green and Josh Christopher. Balling out in Houston. Jalen Green looks like the real deal.
Looks like he might be out though for the rest of summer league.
Yep. I think that's definitely the case. But what he showed so far has been amazing. Definitely showed his talent, athletic ability. He's able to shoot the ball a little bit. Um, I think he needs to be a primary ball handler. Uh, I think that's how it's looking. I don't know how him and Kevin Porter Jr. are gonna play together. That's because Kevin Porter Jr. absolutely needs to monopolize the ball for him to be effective. And he's like, if you want him, he needs to monopolize the ball. So definitely gonna be interested to see how those three guards work together. Josh Christopher definitely looked way better than he did in Arizona State. Did everything that I loved about his game. Was able to shoot the ball decently well. That probably one of the best pick and roll players in the draft. I love him. Great finisher. And then surprised me. I mean, not really surprised me, but I already knew he had that in him. But defensively, he
Yeah,
was
that's
on
what I
his
was gonna bring
McBride
up.
time. He was on his Deuce McBride timing, man. Like he was on it defensively during
Yeah,
those games.
I've actually seen a lot of people comparing him to Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I think Josh Christopher was extremely slept on. Yeah, shout out to Houston. What was your thoughts on those two young studs, man?
I haven't got to see a ton of Josh Christopher. I've watched some Jalen Green, and I mean, I love Green. I think I think his limit or his ceiling is about as high as anybody in this draft. He reminds me a lot of young James Harden. We'll see if he can live up to that, but he's a good step back. He seems like he can get to the rim, get around guys, get past guys, distributes the ball. At, I mean, it's summer league again, so you have to like factor in these numbers and everything. But I think if you're a Rockets fan, from what you've seen from Green in summer league so far, it'd be pretty hard to complain about.
No, for sure. If you're a Rockets fan, you cannot be more happier with Raphael Stone and the new group up there in Houston.
Yeah, and they got clowned for not getting a lot for Harden, but it looks like they're doing a decent job of at least
It looks like they're
building back a base.
yeah, I think they're planning on let's just get draft picks. They don't have to be the best. It doesn't really matter because they have brought in a group of analytic guys and a whole different staff to help the draft process. So just on the front office wise, they're on a whole nother level as far as getting data and analyzing prospects. Like they're on a whole different processing system than majority of the league. Getting my research and listening to multiple podcasts with guys that are plugged into this stuff, that seems like what's going on over there. And if you're a Rockets fan, you can't be more happier. The next guy I wanted to talk about was Singoon, who has been, like we said before, an analytical darling. So it's no surprise that the Rockets picked him at 16, actually traded assets to go get him at 16. Um, just showed why he was the Turkish MVP, just manning the paint. Great post skills. I know it's summer league. I don't know how effective it's gonna be. But he was able to move his feet. Like guys like Luke Garza and Sengun, they move their feet well in this summer league, but I don't know how that translates in the league with more explosive, savvy guards in the league. But he showed physically, he looked really good, really, really good. Remind me of a baby Valanciunas, man. Just needs to get in the weight room. Have you seen any film on Sengun, Nolan?
Yeah, I've watched a decent bit now. You know, he seems like he's right now with that 7 foot wingspan. He seems like he's already a really good defender. Um, like you said, he moves his feet very well. He's great lateral quickness, which helps contest, outside shots, kind of like Mitch does. Not quite as fast as Mitch, but defense is definitely his strong point, I think. But he had 8 blocks in I think 2 games,
Yep.
and I mean, just basically seeing him be able to defend at the level he did and kind of finish through contact better than I expected him to at this point. I do think, like you said, him adding on a little bit of muscle will be the biggest X factor in terms of how his career goes. But it's another player that makes some for a really interesting fit for that team.
For sure. Can't emphasize how much the Rockets have outdid themselves this draft. Gonna look forward to see how that develops. Um, next guy I wanted to talk about. Let's go to the East Coast and talk about Orlando and Jalen Suggs. Nolan's a big fan of Jalen Suggs. Had a great games in the summer league. Can't lie. The intensity on defense was there from Gonzaga. A leader similar to Cade. Shot the ball pretty well. Don't know how that's going to translate into the league. But looked like honestly, he looked like what I thought he was gonna look like. The only thing for me, and I will have this question mark until he proves me wrong. How better can this guy get? I understand he's a great basketball player right now. He's a good basketball player right now. He's a good starter. But how better can this guy actually get? That's the only question for picking him at 5. I thought he was a little bit more of a safer pick. Everybody loves Jalen Suggs. I just have a little bit question marks for him. Nolan, how you feel about Jalen Suggs, man?
I like Suggs a lot. He's shown everything that I thought he could do.
Yep.
I think he needs to continue to work on his jump shot to reach his ultimate potential. But I'm bummed out. It looks like he hurt his thumb and he's going to miss the remainder of summer league as well. So while I was excited and encouraged by everything I've seen in summer league, I'm still just a little confused with what Orlando is doing with their backcourt this year. And I mean, we'll see how it all plays out, but I think Suggs is going to be a starter in the league for a lot of years. I think he's a what's his name from Denver? Not DeMarco Murray. Donovan Murray. What?
What you mean, Jamal Murray?
Jamal Murray. That's it. Yeah. Jamal Murray.
Yeah, Jamal Murray. Can't forget Jamal Murray, man. Come on, man. We was hyping him up.
I think that's his is the best comparison for him as a player like that.
Yeah. I mean, can't complain with that comparison. Definitely had the same skill set. They play similar, very similar. The backcourt situation doesn't make no sense to me at all. I'm kind of tired of complaining about it.
Yeah, that's why I didn't spend too much time on it. It is what it is.
I remember I was listening to the last podcast and I kind of went on a rant. I was like, bro, I was really mad at that for some reason, but
whatever.
Yeah,
on my team.
Yeah, not exactly. Exactly, Nolan. Exactly. Next guard I want to talk about out east, Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas. It seemed like he was a target for the Knicks. I'm glad they didn't take him. Tibbs, I guess, told him to his face that like he's the ideal fit when we passed on him multiple times. Right? That's kind of funny, but but as far as Cam Thomas, definitely showed what he showed at LSU. I'm not really surprised that the efficiency is not there even at summer league, but I'm not surprised that he's able to score on these guys. I mean, he scored on college guys, so of course he's going to score on college guys in the summer league. They're hyping him up crazy. I guess he'll come in and take Mike James' spot. I really like Mike James, his production on the Nets last year, but I guess he'll come in and be a little bit of a scorer off the bench. I could see why many teams passed on him. Just the eye test. I see why the efficiency numbers are just not there. Maybe he develops more into a more efficient scorer, but I can't stand it when guys are pretty much like just jacking up shots. I understood it was the first game with quickly, but he pretty much shot us out the game that first game. And that's one of my pet peeves. I hate chuckers. Like
See, that's one thing though, is that I think a lot of that you can contribute to it being summer league. You know what I mean? I don't, especially with Thomas. I think they're going out there and basically just saying go out and score a bucket, because I mean he's not going to be doing this when Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden are on the court. You know what I mean? He's going to be asked to come in, play spot minutes, and put up buckets, and they're just basically trying to get him as much of a look of him doing that as possible. So I mean, I think a lot of the reasons why a lot of other teams passed on him were that like his ceiling might not be that high into turning into like an elite, like starting two-way player. But the fact that, like you said, that you saw that we've seen in the first few summer league games, that he can go out and get buckets, that fills a need for Brooklyn, who needs extra shooters and scorers off that bench to on cheap contracts, help fill out their roster. Because I mean, when healthy, they're the best team in the NBA, in my opinion, but they can't do it all alone. And given how often those guys seem to be injured, having another scorer, even if just one of those guys is out and you have to defend Kevin Durant and James Harden, but not Kyrie Irving, and Thomas comes in, like he's going to have open looks, and I think he can hit them. I don't think he'll be on the court if he's a chucker in the regular season. I think he'll get benched real quick. So I think that coaching staff, and more importantly, just the players on that team will set it straight in his head to kind of stay in his lane, know your role as a rookie.
No, for sure. Definitely interested to see how his scoring translates to the NBA, and how efficient his numbers are. Like you said, he will be getting open shots, playing alongside of that dominant core. Um, yeah, definitely think he could make a somewhat of an impact, somewhat like what Quickly did for us last year. Come off the bench, maybe light it up for us a few games. Yeah, definitely gonna see. Not the biggest fan. Uh, Two guys I wanted to talk about. Probably I hate this team in the NBA, but it is what it is. Naismith and Peyton Pritchard from Boston, lighting it up at the summer league. Probably the best summer league team, undefeated. Um, Naismith showing he had a rough first season, turned it up in the end of the last season, turned it up with his shooting, but he definitely showed to somebody that he's about that shooting life. Like he's an elite 3-point shooter, multiple 20+ games with like 6 to 7 made 3-point attempts, that can come off screens. Just everything that we loved about Naismith coming into the draft last year. He showed in this summer league, which is dope. He's him, and also can't forget about Peyton Pritchard, who I thought had a good regular season last year, backing up Kemba and filling in for Kemba when he can shoot the three at a good clip for his position. Definitely above league average on his 3-point ball. I liked him out of Oregon, can't lie. I really did. I thought he would be better than Quickly. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit up here in front. I thought he was a better prospect than Quickly, but I was proven wrong. And but Peyton Pritchard is still definitely an NBA player. How much film have you watched on these two guys? And
I'm a little more familiar with Naismith just because he's been around a year. But I mean,
no, both of them were around a year.
Is Pritchard second year?
Yeah. You don't remember him?
Yeah,
Yeah, you probably don't watch Celtics games, but the
I don't watch
Celtics are
Celtics
trash.
games.
No,
Yeah.
but yeah, he's definitely a contributor last year to their squad. part of the young core.
I don't know. I'll skip mine on his because I obviously don't know enough about his game. But Naismith, I mean, he's an intriguing player. He was drafted, I think in the top 15 or so, something like that. So I mean, the talent's still there. I think him getting the opportunity in Boston will be. I don't know. I mean, they need a lot of bench help. I don't see him as a starter yet, but I think if they can find him off the bench and have him be a reliable scoring option for them, then I think he can continue to develop and maybe be one of those players who develops kind of like on a slower path just because I mean he's a guard forward. I don't know exactly where you want to play him, but with Brown and Tatum, I'm not sure if all three of those players on the court how well that fit is, but I like him as a prospect and think that he brings, like I said, a lot of he fills a lot of he fills a lot of the needs that Boston has on their bench if he's able to live up to his draft status.
I recommend you watch some of Peyton Pritchard's tape. They're a really,
Yeah,
really
because I'm
good
sure I've
point guard.
seen him watching Celtics games, but I probably just never remembered the name because I was just like, oh, Kemba's out, and just never really thought much about it.
No, yeah, he's from Oregon. So he played with Chris Duarte and
Yeah,
that
no, the
group.
name sounds familiar, but for some reason I was just thinking he was in this draft. But yeah,
No, yeah, I like his game. I can't
I'll
complain.
have to check him out.
Definitely. And another two guys I wanted to talk about out east. Atlanta. Seems like they had a good draft. I can't lie.
I really did.
Yeah.
I really like Jalen Johnson.
Yo.
I hate it.
Yo, I have such a hate love relationship with this kid, man.
No, hate him. Just hate him.
Oh man, like I don't know how to feel about him, bro, because I don't know. He quit on my team.
That's what I'm saying. He quit on your team, and he's on the fucking Hawks now. So that's another reason to hate him.
He's talented, so
He's
I'm not
good.
Yeah, I'm not.
I was really mad that the Hawks got him because I knew he was going to be a good fit, and then they got Cooper. Flipping, was it 58?
Which, bro,
on a two-way deal. Like, they just had an incredible draft, honestly.
Honestly, it's kind of we spoke about this on the last pod, but I have to say this again. It is disrespectful that Sharif Cooper got picked at 50. I don't care how tall he is. Come on, look at the talent. Look, and the jumper's not broken, so I'm confused.
But the jumper was his shot was definitely the second biggest concern, and so far in summer league, he's shown that was overblown. So if that shot's real and that shot translates into real NBA games, then he is a spot in the league. If it doesn't, then that's when he's going to find himself in issues.
I mean, he was throwing passes like off his left hand.
I get it. He has a handle. He has vision. He can pass.
Yes,
plenty of skills, and I can see why a lot of people had him mocked as high as they did.
Yep.
But there's not a lot of guards at that size that can, make it work in the league. And I'm excited to see how it pans out. I'd be much more excited if it wasn't on the Hawks. Maybe he won't end up there long term anyway, but it'll be fun. It'll be a fun player just to watch develop over the course of the year.
Yeah, man. And
I'm hoping to watch because is he a two-way player?
Yeah, he's two-way, man. He's on a two-way deal.
Yeah. So,
which is insane.
So I'm hoping to watch more G League games this year, so that gives me another player to look out for.
Yo, he will literally dominate G League. Like
expect.
He pretty much statistically dominated college basketball.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I'm just confused on why people passed on him. I will never shake that. I'm just super confused. Like
the only thing I can say is it's just there's so much. There's a lot of risk involved in a player that size, where there are players comparable without that risk is probably the way GMs looked at it. Is that trying to minimize as much risk as possible.
I get it. But when you get to the second round, man, and he's not going
Yeah,
30,
no,
30.
I was hoping that he'd fall to the Knicks.
Yeah.
That final pick after 58, whatever our last one was, but nothing.
Question mark. I'll forever scratch my head on that.
Hey, we'll see how
Forever.
it plays out.
Yep, definitely. Definitely got to see how those two guys pan
I'll tell
out.
you what though, I'll take um McBride over Cooper as of right now, for sure.
Like the fit on the Knicks, or just as
Just
price.
overall,
Kind of have to disagree with you there.
we'll see.
Yeah. I don't agree with that, but hey, both guys are definitely NBA talents and definitely deserve an NBA roster. We could both agree on that, though.
Mhm.
Definitely. Um, Definitely want to talk about Malachi Flynn and Scotty Barnes. Malachi Flynn, I loved him coming out of college. Another guy I would have took over quickly. Sorry, quickly. I love you to death now, but there's definitely a few guards that I like before taking you. But Malachi Flynn was definitely one of those guys out of San Diego State. Two-time defensive player of the year, San Diego State in that division. Great three-point shooter. Has above league average vision. Doesn't have the great vision, but has passable vision. Um, Definitely gonna help Toronto win plenty of games coming off the bench back in the Van Vliet and Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes looks like the modern day Draymond Green. Moved his feet extremely well. Probably one of the best defenders. The I'm not even gonna say the best defender in this draft. Long ass arms. Um, he stripped Veldoza at half court. Like he's picking him up, and Veldoza is not no, backup college point guard, trying to make an NBA team. Like, he's been MVP of adult leagues in Spain, and he's a seasoned NBA, not NBA, seasoned basketball veteran, and he was able to strip him like it was nothing. Um, that's just a little sample size of what I believe Scotty Barnes brings to the table. Great ball mover. Um, Inside, finishes inside decently well. Just his three-point shot, mid-range is just non-existent. Uh, but definitely show the tools that you want in in Scotty Barnes. That's what you drafted him to be, and lived up to my hype. Nolan, what's your thoughts on those two Toronto guys?
Um, with Scotty, yeah, he's showing a lot of the reasons that he was drafted. By all accounts, he's a very high character guy with a great work ethic and everything like that. I'm still a little worried about his offense. I don't think it's going to be quite as easy for him in the regular season playing against regular bigs, but he's a young kid and has plenty of time to, add on weight and muscle and learn learn how to use his length to his advantage in the post and just kind of just develop a skill set more down low. Malachi Flynn, really taking a step forward that they really, it's a great sign for Toronto. Not that he wasn't good as a rookie, but I mean, he's been on the same level as like quickly for the most part this preseason. Just players that look too good to be in summer league right now.
Yep.
So I mean, you have to be happy with that. You have to think that between Malachi and Fred Van Fleet, that they feel comfortable with letting Lowry walk. Obviously, like I'm not saying either of those two are as talented as Lowry, but at that price point for that many years, and I'm sure Lowry wanted to go to a situation that's he's a chance to win at this point in his career too. Um, so I think that makes a lot of sense into why they didn't offer him a longer term deal at more money. So they're both good players. I think Scotty Barnes has the higher ceiling, but is a little further away, obviously, where Malachi is. I think he has a chance to have a surprisingly good season.
I think that Toronto team is loaded with talent. Um, they
They
got
they have talent. I don't think they have a lot of elite talent,
yeah.
and I think they're a little young, but I see. I mean, it depends on how the season shakes out, but I see them making a move around the deadline to ship a guy or two out if things aren't looking good.
I just think that with the group they got, with the champions with Van Vliet, OG and Obi,
I'm not a huge OG fan, to be honest with
I
you.
think he's a good defender. I think he's
He's
a
a
good
great defender.
3 and D guy.
Yeah, yeah. It's just I don't know. The rest of his game's a little lacking.
They got him. They still got Chris Boucher. They still Malachi Flynn. The addition with Scotty Barnes.
Justin Champagnie been lighting it up.
Yeah, can't forget that guy, man. Can't forget Champagne. But you know, we expect they just re-signed Gary Trent Jr. I do think they have a low-key roster, underrated roster, and don't be surprised if they're whipping people's asses during the regular season. Uh, don't be, because with the coaching and the guys from the championship team, the young guys
Being back in Toronto,
being
not
back in
in
Toronto with that,
Florida.
yeah, being back in that fan base, being back with that fan base. Um, I definitely think Toronto is definitely looking to recapture their Eastern Conference playoff spot. You know, that 4 or 5 spot. I do think they're coming for that. I definitely do think so. Um, Last thing I wanted to talk about before I ended the pod was, my guy Matthew Hurt out of Duke. He got his 2-way contract out of Houston, with Houston. I don't know what's his future with Houston with Christian Wood, and they just drafted Sengun there, but definitely,
He's on a 2-way, right?
yep, definitely happy to see my boy Hurt on a 2-way deal, and your guy from Pitt, Champagne, earned himself a 2-way deal with Toronto. Um, Matthew, he's one of my favorite players, Duke, over the years. I don't think he's ready to play right now to say, but definitely he has NBA skills. He could shoot the three. Definitely needs to get better at moving his feet. But if he sets good picks. I definitely think he's kind of like Obi size at 6'9", 6'10". Doesn't do able to play that 4, small ball 5. Gonna be interesting to see how he develops with Houston. Definitely gonna keep an eye on him on the G League to see how my boy does. He did not quit on the team, so shout out to him. But yeah, talk about Champagne, man. Talk about Champagne, bro.
Champagne's actually just looked really great um, in his time on Toronto. I think he's had some of his strongest games, and I think there's players that going into the season on the depth chart that he's outplaying. And I honestly, if things keep going the way they're going for Champagne, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he ends up either uh, his 2A ends up being converted into a regular contract, or if I think there's like a certain number of games where once you're so far into a season, or no, I think it's once the G League season ends, you can call up a G League player to play on your regular team, regardless of like how many games they played. And I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that happen for him at the end of the year, where he's actually playing in the rotation.
For sure, for sure. Definitely two guys that definitely if they develop correctly should be able to get rotational minutes and be NBA players to win in situations. I definitely believe that too. Watching Champagne's college film and his summer league tape as well. Definitely I can see, Nolan, how you believe in him. Uh you know, before he even got to the NBA, like I didn't really know too much about him. I know he played. I knew he was the best player on Pitt. I kind of know everybody's best player on the ACC. I just know everybody on my team. I just don't know everybody on everybody.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
and,
So,
and it's Champagne is, I think the reason he didn't get drafted this year is he's the victim of Pitt's been a pretty bad program in basketball the past probably
but then they move
7
conferences.
years. Yeah, and that's really when things started to go downhill.
Yeah, that's what.
When
Yeah.
we had Jamie Dixon, who coaches at TCU now, and we were in the Big East. we had a lot of luck recruiting like 3 and 4 star recruits from like New York, Baltimore, like East Coast players that wanted to play schools in the Big East, like Syracuse, UConn, St. John's. The Big East tournament was always played in Madison Square Garden. Like those players like that they can go away from college but still be close enough to play in front of their friends and family. And when we got to the ACC, the way the Big East and the ACC are officiated is just totally different in terms of like the old Big East was like physical banging, bruising, where ACC is so much more like skill oriented,
Yeah,
tacky fouls.
yeah,
And so there was an adjustment there, which led to Dixon leaving. We brought in a coach from Vanderbilt who was awful.
yeah, yeah. I mean Vanderbilt.
Yeah. And I just remember when we hired him, there was like a whole press conference and like everybody was stunned like that we hired this bozo. But he was out. And then we finally hired Capel from your lovely program at Duke. He used to coach Oklahoma, recruited Blake Griffin, made it to the Elite Eight there, recruited Zion and all them to Duke. And he's finally getting the program back. But Champagny was the best player on a really, really bad team. But I can tell you from watching his games, his stats weren't empty stats. Like, you know what I mean? He wasn't going up there just padding numbers. He was going out there and his impact was felt on the court. And I think a lot of scouts took a look at Pitt's record and his numbers and were like, oh, okay, but if he was on a good team, would he, be putting these numbers up? And I think if he has more talent around him and more spacing, which he'll have in the NBA, that it's it it bode. I think that builds to his skills. Like it's a better fit for him than where you're in college. The paint is a lot more congested.
Oh, for sure. Can't. Watching the tape, I could agree with that. Definitely for sure. Shout out to both of those guys. Hopefully, they have promising futures in the NBA. Definitely want to end this podcast. It was a great episode. Um, great summer league, man. Can't complain, man. Can't complain. I need to go to one of these. Me and Nolan definitely need to go to one of these.
Yeah, I've been talking to my buddy from Philly about going out to Vegas one of these years. Mostly just as an excuse to go to Vegas. But it's cool though. I always hear there's like players hanging out, having drinks and stuff like after games, just like
Yeah.
at restaurants. That'd be pretty dope.
Real quick. Did you hear that story about McBride?
Oh, he went to a restaurant still wearing his jersey.
Yeah.
That's probably some shit I would do, man.
Nah, I used to do that all the time like middle
Yeah.
school and man.
I love that he's still doing it though.
Yeah.
Like, as a professional, like fuck that. I'm a fucking pro, baby.
Yeah, no, definitely put a smile on my face when I saw that tweet by Kevin O'Connor. Definitely. Definitely want to end the pod here. Shout out to Nolan. Make sure to follow me and Nolan on Twitter. Make sure to follow the Corner 3 Pod on Twitter. Make sure to check out our website. We got articles, we got all our podcasts there too. Next episode, Haynes from before should be coming on, a friend of the show. That's my boy. Definitely we're gonna be talking about how the East is shaping up, how the West is shaping up. Definitely a preview into next season. I can't complain. Definitely going to be a little drought period, man. Definitely going to try to get collabs going with some of the film school guys, some of the Strickland guys. Maybe Sam comes back on. Definitely got to see, but definitely
got a few ideas lined up.
Yeah, definitely got to get creative. It's dead, man. Definitely during Fox Sports, ESPN, man. During this time, they're dead, man. They be arguing about nothing. Stephen A. Smith is
arguing just for the sake of arguing at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Nolan, can't wait to see you on Wednesday. Definitely.
Yeah, man. I'll talk to you soon. Look forward to talking to you, buddy.
For sure.